No, I was 22. I got old. So, and have worked for several companies back in Iran, in Finland. I have worked for Nokia phones, the lovely ones that you may remember. And I have worked for Microsoft in Finland as well for several years and in different teams. Now I'm working for Microsoft in Redmond, the headquarters of Microsoft in Seattle, Redmond. That's me. I know some Turkish. I can say, for example, günaydın. Oh, not günaydın. I can say, I don't know, iyi akşamlar.
That's very good. Was that Hilal who taught you?
I have some background in that from my parents' side. So I can say nasılsınız, for example.
Perfect. That's perfect. You have perfect pronunciation too.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Maybe let's see where I can get that. Maybe some business idea out of that.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I can talk a lot about me, myself, and my experiences and my stories, but that can get boring. There's no guarantee that's going to be super interesting. So for that very reason, I'm going to stop here. I have the stories to share, but I'm going to stop here. For me, this is an AMA session, meaning that you can ask me almost anything about anything.
All right, that's very generous.
Yeah, but don't ask super personal questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I'm hoping to answer your questions, and if we get time, I'm gonna randomly throw my stories in between.
Please do.
Whenever suited. So I can see the chat windows. You can post your questions in chat windows. The first one here is about I'd like to ask something about Microsoft. Which skills does Microsoft needs from some person that wants to join Microsoft? So this is a very good question, and I guess for you that you are mostly students, right?
Right.
I think so. This is going to be very, very, very important question that you might have. So in general, when you are want to join a company like Microsoft, it's first in generic, it's not about Microsoft, any company, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Samsung, any company that you want to join, even Nokia. So the process is almost similar. So there is a interview part that you need to be good at it, no matter if you're good at software development or not. You need to know how the interview process is. In the interview, there's like a soft interview part, meaning that they're going to ask about your motivations, how you're doing, and why you're after this job. And there's technical part. For software development and IT in general, good news is that the topics are very well known. So if you want to prepare for landing a job from Microsoft, there are books, there are websites that you can go through them. So for example, a very, very good book that almost everybody that wants to join any of these big companies go and study that book is Cracking the Coding Interview. The book in general talks about soft skills, how you should prepare yourself, and how to solve the interview questions. In software, in general, they're gonna ask you a coding question, right? That's after all of this soft interviews about your motivations and about your past and all of that questions. They're gonna ask you 3 or 4 questions. Like 3 or 4 interviewers gonna question you, and each gonna ask 1 or 2 questions. This is almost same in most of the teams in Facebook, in Microsoft, in all of those companies. So how it goes, there are 2 different ways of hiring process. One is called university hiring. In university hiring, the idea is that they come like to your university or to your city, they have an event, and then you can join to that ones. They do all of this in the same day. They ask everybody's questions. They ask everybody questions, and out of those people, they select a handful of people to have like an interview loop with them. I will talk about interview loop in a while, in a bit. So if it's not a university hiring, meaning that you can go and find a position in their website and apply for those. You can apply from overseas as well. For example, you can apply from Turkey to a position in Redmond. There's no problem with that. But the competition is going to get higher when there's like a lot more people from overseas. But for more senior positions, that's not the case. You can land the job a lot easier if you have experiences back there in Turkey, for example. If you have like 8 years of development and you're in almost senior level, you can get the job easier because these companies are willing to move senior people a lot easier because the candidates are a lot less here, right? So if that's your plan to move overseas, come here to US for any of these companies, if you have some experience, it's going to be a lot better. But otherwise, it's not end of the day, end of the world. So you can still do that. So what is the interview loop? For interview loops that you join, they're going to prepare an interview loop. It can be over Skype, Teams, Zoom, whatever means of online meetings, or they can invite you to the headquarters. They buy you the ticket. They just prepare everything needed, the hotel, everything. So you come over, then there is a full day interview. It's a bit exhausting, most probably for some people. You should be prepared for that one. So there's going to be 4 or 5, depending on the team, interviewers coming to you, talking to you, and asking the coding question, each about an hour. So in each interview, you're going to be asked like about soft skills for 10-15 minutes and 40 minutes for a technical questions. If you prepare for those kind of questions, it's a lot easier. For example, the first time that I joined this kind of companies, even though that I knew a lot about software development in general, I would think, oh, I'm really good. I've been working in software for several years. I should land this job. But I went there, they were asking questions that I have no idea. The reason was those questions were like something from a student time that I totally forgot. Like, for example, just writing an algorithm to do something. In real work, we never do this kind of thing. We don't write a code to search and find something in an array or this kind of very basic looking questions. We don't do that, right? We deal with very complex situations. We have all of the resources to research and answer the questions. But for the interview, because they have limited times, most of the questions are like solving an algorithm, going through a very specific coding questions. So if you want to prepare for those kind of questions, first, the book that I just referred to, Cracking the Coding Interview, read that one, no matter what. That's really good. There's a lot of things that you can learn from that book. Beside that one, there is a website called Lead Code. Maybe some of you already know about it. There's a lot of samples of these questions that real people that have gone through the interview, they have posted the questions. And good news is there's a good chance that if you go through like 200 of those questions, the questions are going to be repeated for you as well. So no matter what, even if you are a good software engineer, if you cannot solve those questions, your chance is going to be down to 0, because that's the way they assess your readiness for the job. So I'm going to post this website here in the chat for you. If you just want to take a look and get the idea what kind of coding question they're going to ask for software developers, for designers, for database engineers, data engineers. This is a website, and the book was yeah. So that was my answer for how to get into big companies like Microsoft. But if you have more follow-up questions, I'm willing to answer. So I'm going to move on to the next question for now. So the next one is from Abdullah, is asking, as an experienced software engineer working in a major company, what fields or job position would you recommend for a computer engineering student with strong social skills and a preference for people? So if you have a people preference, So as an experienced software engineer, there's like a lot of different things that you can go after. For example, in Microsoft, we have very, very, very different kind of roles for software engineers, different teams that they go with different products. My idea is that you should go and see what products you connect more. For example, some people like to work for services like Azure, for example, right? So the way of working in Azure or is a bit different than the way of work, for example, in Office. I'm currently working on Office OneNote. You may use OneNote in university, or that's me. so, so if you see bugs, that's not me. That's somebody else. But if you see good things, that's me. So, uh, for example, the way of working in Office is a bit different. But in general, for software engineers, you need to code. So it's not that much of people related work, but there's always chance you can be a people manager afterward. In Microsoft or other companies, same kind of companies, after a certain level, you can choose to be a people manager, meaning that managing people, or you can decide to be a IC, an individual contributor, and go forward with your technical things. If you're a type of person that want to code all the time, you can do that. If you're a people person, you can do management as well, business management or people management as well. And beside all of the software developer jobs, there is PM jobs as well. You can be a product owner. For being a PM, your social skills are very important beside all of technical skills, because the job that you do involves a lot of other people from other orgs, from other teams. You need to connect all of them. You need to agree on the timelines and a lot of other stuff. So a lot of people like you that they feel like they have a social touch, they have a people kind of feelings. They start as a software engineer, immediately after a year or two, they switch to PM, or they start as a PM. For being PM is a lot of fun as well. In the same time, you get to travel more, you get to have more visibility as well. So I guess for you, if you feel like that, being a PM is a really good choice, I guess. I like to be a PM as well. Now I'm trying to get to senior level and then get to a PM because I want to try that as well. I've been a software engineer for a long time. I want to give a shot to being a PM as well to see how it goes. So I share same kind of.
Adding on, before
Yeah.
you move on from this, for example, if you're in university right now and you are studying computer engineering, how would you build a profile that would take you more towards that side than the back
Okay.
end?
I'm glad that you asked this one. I'm gonna share something, a lot of things that I didn't know, and I'm not super happy. I hope somebody would have told me, but I'm gonna tell you that's a good news. So when we are a student in general, we don't take stuff very serious because we are a student, we are young, we want to have fun, and that's good. There's no problem with that. But all of your student projects matters. So when you're out of university, I have interviewed people for Microsoft myself. I've been interviewer and interviewed people. When a young student comes to me, for me, what matters is I need a way to assess this person, right? I talk to them, I have interview questions, but I know they're not like senior, right? They cannot answer very complicated questions. That's okay. So now I have their CV, I look at their CV, I see I have worked in this project in university. Whatever you do in university matters. Whatever, like a student project, even though that for you is small, if you articulate that one really good and talk about it in your interviews, those matter. Even if it's a like software project for a 5 credits for a course, like for a random course, I can share some personal stories about that too. That can get you very farther than whatever you've been planning for. For example, you go and do this project just for course reasons, right? Just to pass the course. But that can get you to a company. That happened to me. For example, I've been in a course for, I don't remember what course exactly was, but it had a project that we need to go and work on something, right? We decided to start a game. Like that time was like 2011, and we started a very, very small short game. And that one, when I presented that one to my like professor, he said, "Oh, let me just introduce you to some other people." And fast forward, I don't want to talk about me. I just want to use this time for you. Fast forward, we got fund for that project. We started a startup based on just a university, like a fun project. We've got money, we've got office, we've got like tools and stuff to develop that further. So I didn't know that, but that happened. I mean, take everything seriously. If there's a hackathon, a hack project, I don't know, an event for coding, take those seriously, document them, have them in your CV, write about them in your CV. That's going to help you.
Abdullah, do you have any further questions?
No, thank you very much.
Perfect. By the way, I told you guys to type your questions, but you can always, I mean, as long as we're not interrupting anybody, you can voice yourself too. You can even put your pictures so that Abo does not feel lonely. You can open your cameras if you're available. We're all at home in our pajamas, so that's all right.
Yeah.
It's the same for us too.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah, it would probably be lovely for him to see who you guys are. Before you pass to the question of Aya, I think, yeah, that's the next question in the chat, but can I ask a question on behalf of probably everyone? So we're a university, not only with engineering students, but business administration as well, for example. As an engineer working in Microsoft, what would be your observation about interdisciplinarity or multidisciplinarity? Do they have to be engineers to work in Microsoft? Are there other options for other departments?
Definitely not. Definitely not. So I'm talking more about engineering side for two reasons. One is my background. The second one is my assumption was most of the people here are IT related.
Probably.
So if I want to talk about business, if I want to talk about the business side, we have a very, very big marketing team. It's like almost as big as the engineering side of the things. And even more important than the engineering part, we as engineers work on a lot of software and a lot of devices even that they don't ship. They don't go anywhere because marketing teams decide that this is not good. So our marketing team, I can say, is one of the best in the world. You can see the growth of Microsoft, how good it's doing now. It's one of the best places that you can be as a like business student, as a business person. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of jobs every day in the business unit as well. So getting into those kind of jobs, they have similar kind of process of loops. Like you go through the loops, you're gonna attend university hiring for the university people, or again, you can find the positions, same kind of the stuff, but in business related position, based on my limited knowledge, your portfolio matters, means what you have done before. Numbers matter. So if you say, I've been working for this company, I have like, I have knocked on this deal with this many millions of like Turkish lira, for example, that's gonna be an important factor because they work with numbers. They think in terms of numbers, right? And also your past experiences matters a lot more in that sense. That's my limited knowledge in that area as well. But definitely there's a lot of opportunity there too.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. I was asking just in case we have students from business or other departments that are non-engineering departments. I wanted to ask, because I know that Microsoft is a huge firm who's not only hiring engineers, so they might want to know that they are wanted and needed as well.
Yeah, that's very, very, very true. I mean, as you just pointed out, I'm happy that somebody pointed out that and I don't just go to the engineering world because me as an engineer do that most of the time. So I'm gonna move forward with next question. So Microsoft key businesses are growing and we have witnessed a rapid increase of the company's market cap. Even after the recent virus-related market meltdown, Microsoft is still $1 trillion company. With that in mind, do you also agree that Satya is doing a great business. Have you ever met him? I have seen him in a close distance in a meeting. Like we have this monthly meeting once in a month. We have a QA session with Satya. You can attend. Anybody can attend from FTEs, full-time employees. You can go there and be there and ask questions even. He is kind of a business person. He is kind of very, very clear person. He has very clear guidance. He doesn't invest on the stuff that doesn't go forward. So these, by the way, anything that I'm talking here is not Microsoft's point of view. It's me. I'm not affiliated now with Microsoft talking about anything that I'm talking, right? This is just me in a friendly talk, sharing my experiences and my thought with you. So I guess, yeah, I truly believe in Satya's vision. So he's a type of person that knows where to allocate resources in any given time. He has proven this from 2014. I'm working for Microsoft from 2013. I have met Steve Ballmer in person. I have talked to Steve Ballmer myself, the previous CEO. I've been lucky to do that. I mean, not everybody does. I know the difference between that era and now. Satya started this Azure thing that is growing and growing. He truly knew this is going to be the future, and we've got this unique position of being a big player because of the investments we did back in from 2011 till now. Yeah. So my idea is that he's doing a great business, if that's your question. And yes, I have met him. So
I think you skipped one question of Aya Ali. It was about your
really?
cracking the coding interview. It's right about that one. She was asking about the Finnish education system and job market.
Oh yeah, okay. I just, sorry for that. So Aya, sorry. So I'm gonna talk about that. Can you tell us more about your master's studies in Finland? How is the level of education there? What was the teaching style like? Is it easy to enter the Finnish job market as an international student? So Finland in general, Hilal can talk about that too, is a very interesting country. There is a lot of opportunities there, meaning that they have a lot of supports for startups. For example, if you are a startup person, if you have good plan, you can get easily a 50K fund that you cannot do that in a lot of countries, right? So from that perspective, if you are a startup person, you can move there, you can study there, you can pursue your startup dreams and stuff. For studying, the quality is really good, but in general, I don't know how it's in Turkey, but in Finland, the type of studies are mostly, there are good professors, but they don't start teaching you on whiteboards and talking about a lot about stuff. They come with a presentation. They have prepared the slide from 7 years ago, most probably. They just use those. And that's not a bad thing. Maybe that's the same in MIT as well. I mean, that's not very different from the whole world. It's all about you. If you're a person, you can go follow up with it. There are really good professors. I didn't know by then, but when I left the university and started working, everybody was referencing my professor as a genius. And so I didn't think so. He didn't look like a genius. But then I realized that, I was in class of Mr. X, for example, that is very awesome in database design, and he's one of the big players in that industry. But yeah, it's about you. There are a lot of random peoples that they're really good. If you are good, you utilize them. Nowadays, it's a bit changing in Finland as well. So Finland is getting more and more toward the entrepreneurship and having that kind of atmosphere around the university, which is a good news. Is it easy to enter Finnish job market? So back in 2011 that I was searching for a job, I have some stories about this as well. If the time lets me, I will share it at some point. It wasn't as easy as now, but now it's a lot easier. So now because there are gaming companies out there, for example, Clash of Clans, you may have played, it's there. Remedy is there with all of their games. There's a lot of other companies in telecommunication, for example, Nokia is there still. And there are a lot small or mid-sized software companies, like antivirus companies, a lot of other different kind of stuff. Yeah, there are positions there, but It's a lot easier in US and Canada. If you're targeting to move, for example, to somewhere, US market for software developers, for technical students is a lot better, I can say, because I'm here, I can see that the scale is a lot bigger, the opportunities are a lot different, a lot bigger. So if you have more, yeah.
Adding on to Aya's question, could you see yourself at any point settling down in Finland? Was the social structure encompassing that sort of lifestyle that you wanted?
So I'm Finnish citizen. I can go back to Finland anytime now, right? So I really love Finland as a calm country to live at. But about the business structure or in general, so I'm from Iran, and I've been born there. My family is there, so we are kind of a capitalist kind of thinking people. So we really love competition as people. So the competition is not that high there. The type of working and thinking and living in Finland is, it's a social country. You have to be good yourself. I mean, nobody's gonna force you to go and build the stuff. Nobody's gonna fire you immediately if you don't do a good job, but you're gonna be in your misery yourself. So that's how it is in Finland. In other countries like Denmark, Sweden, it's almost the same. So in those countries, you should be a very, very disciplined person and do your job and enjoy this social benefits, health benefit is out there. Work-life balance is a lot better than this side of the world. But in US that I'm living now, it's a lot more similar to a system that we had back in Iran. You need to compete with others. You need to be really good. Otherwise, they can fire you immediately. It's like if they want to fire you in Finland, there's a very long process of doing that. They should go through a lot of process, several months of letting you know and training and stuff. Here, if they are not happy, they are not happy. You need to work. You need to work harder. So it depends on your personality. If you are a person that is very disciplined, living in a calm country is going to be really helpful for you. You're going to have a peace of mind to do whatever you want to do, work-life balance, to have your family and live there, good and clean weather, good people, like all of that. But if you need a atmosphere of challenge, you need to be in countries like, for example, United States, Canada, or some sort of a capitalistic country. So I'm going to move forward.
Sure. Seems like there is a very relevant question of Elanur. She's asking how you're keeping motivated because we're all demotivated by sitting at home, losing our schedules, our habits. Do you have any efficient ways of self-learning? Do you have any advice, she asks?
So for self-learning, I personally like video materials for learning. Fortunately, we are living in an era that everything is in the internet. So I remember back in time, like when I was 18 and I really loved computers and stuff related to computer. I was a PHP developer, but then like a long time ago. And there was no material. I had to literally go and buy CDs to learn the stuff. There was internet, but there was no video streaming service because we were all connecting through dial-ups and maybe an early stage of this ADSLs. The speed was so bad. It's truly amazing that you can spend like $10 and per month and get access to a lot of video materials, and those materials are gold, I can say. For example, if you see lynda.com or like LinkedIn Learning or Plural site, there is video material about anything that you want to learn. And the good news is that, for example, if you spend a couple of months or 3 months in a certain area that you want to learn, that's going to help you in exponential times, I can say. It can help you to get a job with a better salary or even a better positions. So I personally spend a bit of time on learning and especially on video material, but I have hobbies to do as well. I enjoy playing with the stocks. I have some business hobbies as well. So I lose a lot of money for that. But yeah, so I'm keeping myself motivated at home by watching some video materials. and other stuff too. But because we are working from home and the efficiency is not as good, so a 8 hours working day can extend to 12 hours. So I personally start morning just staring at my monitor and sleep and go to bed directly from my monitor, because I start the day and it doesn't feel like I'm working. I need to see what's going on in the world, what happened to coronavirus yet, and all of that.
Yeah.
So that takes an hour. So next question. Okay, what do you suggest to senior professionals who have done good projects during university but having some problems on algorithm coding? Okay, this is a really good question. So Mansoor, right, is asking about, so he is, or somebody is a very senior software developer. I can assume that he means that they have worked in this area. They have university, they have been working on projects in university or at work or somewhere else, but they have some problems on algorithms. So I share the same feelings. I suck at algorithms, even after 18 years of working in that area. So the first thing, nobody is perfect in that world. Everybody sucks. So that's your first input. If you feel like you don't know anything, that's okay. It's not a big deal. So second of all, which is more important, in the algorithm world, it starts from here. You go, for example, to this leetcode.com that I shared. You start the first easiest questions, because questions are sorted by their like level of being easy or hard. So you see, you have no idea about it. That was me. I had the same exact situation that I see like 9 million people have answered this question, but they have no idea. That's how you start. You start that one, you see you suck, you go read the answers, the descriptions, and there are like discussions around that in the same website, and you learn. The second questions, you feel again the same. You suck, you don't know that one too. You do the same. So after going through like 20 questions, you develop a pattern of, oh, this is the way they solve it. The reason why we don't like or we don't learn about the algorithms in general, because those are not practical. So if I ask you to develop an iOS app, even if you have no idea, you go and see some video materials and here and there, and you come up with something, right? Because that's practical. That's super easy. You go download a source code from somewhere and play with it and come up with something. That's how you would most probably work in future. But for getting jobs, you need to know algorithms. This is good and bad. It's bad because may or may not you use this in future. It's good because if you prove me, if I have a company and if I'm an interviewer, if you prove me that you spend that time to go through these materials, it means that you're a consistent person. If I have a new kind of business, if we change, because we pivot in Microsoft, for example, we work on something this year, next year, that doesn't matter because everything is changed. That product doesn't go anywhere. We need to work on a total new stack, a new programming language or something else, right? So if you prove me that you are willing to put that time and learn algorithms in that way, I'm gonna hire you. Then you're gonna come to my team and definitely not use any of those algorithms. But that shows that you can learn new stuff. So that's the point about algorithms questions in interviews. So go to this website, the leetcode.com. I have no affiliation with them. I don't get money from them, but that's what I use to learn as well. I try to change my team. Even if I want to change my team in Microsoft, everything starts from scratch. I should go through the same loop. And I don't remember any of those algorithm questions. I should do it again. I should go through 200 questions, 100 questions to get the sense of, oh, this is about that, and then continue from there. I hope I answered your question. Next one, Fuzi, right, is asking, I would love to hear more about your insight into starting a startup and how you think the current pandemic will shape this venture. So startups, that's one of the interesting topics that I want to talk about. How much time in general we have?
I think we have another 10 minutes. So,
Okay.
and I was planning to ask that too. A lot of our students are really interested in the startups. So that would be wonderful if you can tell us your experience, your advice.
Yeah, so I want to just do a time management. I want to share some personal stories as well.
Please,
So
yeah.
I have like 5 minutes reserved for that, and I'm gonna get this question. Is there any other question? I just want to know now. If anybody has a question, just post it now so that
Yeah.
probably we are not gonna get any new questions. Anybody? Okay, so maybe that's it. I'm gonna go through this startup era a bit. So in a startup, there's like two. This is my ideas, right? Based on my experiences, it can be right or wrong, but you can add a bit of grain of salt to it and go and do your own research and add on top. So startups is a very challenging concept. So you should be a startup person if you want to pursue there. There's a lot of pressure because what is happening, you want to work on something that you want it to go viral, right? You in a startup, we mean by startup, you want to do something new that grows very fast and exponential, that gets to some point of time that everybody in world is using it, like WhatsApp or any app in that level, right? When I'm talking about the startup, I mean something international, something very big, right? For that one, I have friends that they're working in the same area, still in Finland. They're working on software startups. So you should be very disciplined person. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty in that world. So you cannot be a person like, oh, I want to study, I want to do this my banking job in the morning, and in the night I want to do my startup. In a startup, you should have a real business plan and a life plan for it, because that can change your life for quite a bit of time, like 3 years, let's say, in the starting stage of it. So you should say goodbye to a lot of things that you are doing. So if you feel that you have that type of personality, the personality is the first thing. If you have that kind of personality that you can say no to a lot of things for quite a bit of time, that's for you. Plus, you need a good team. You cannot just start it on your own. The team matters the most after your personality. You should have like a team of 2, 3, or more people to, so that they all have the same goal of achieving what you're talking about and what you want to achieve from your startup. The third one is you should not get like disappointed, because in a startup where you're going to get disappointed a lot. So you shouldn't, sorry, let me just reshape the answer. You shouldn't be afraid of getting disappointed, because you're going to get disappointed a lot of times till one time that you're going to get somewhere. So a lot of people are going to tell you this idea sucks. There's a lot of copy of this out there. So you may not get there, and a lot of this kind of disappointment that's going to happen. So you should be very, very truly believing on your mission that you have for your startup. If you don't, that's going to be hard. In contrast of having a startup, this is my idea. I don't tell you don't do a startup. That's not my answer. But the chance of getting in a startup to a point that is really, really profitable is a lot less than having in a small business. So my idea for myself that I'm sharing with you, you can use this as well. Rather than pursuing in a startup, which is a long shot, if you have that, all of those things, do it, please. But for me is, I don't want to do it in a startup now. I feel like let's do a business. Let's do a small company that we have a very, very certain goal, meaning that I want to help like this type of business with this little problem. And I have a certain group of users that I know already, and let's work on this idea. For example, you can be a company that other companies outsource type of job to you. That's it. That can be a business idea. The rate of success of this kind of businesses is a lot more, like more than 50%, I can say. If you are a normal person that willing to consistently do what you're saying, so the chance is more than 50%. Your chance in the startup is like around 5%, I can say. So it's about you. So are you the person that you can do all of the things that is needed for the startup? Go for it. or at least try it for a bit, for a year or two. Otherwise, looking at like small businesses is a very viable idea as well. So that was it. So I'm going to share some random stories about what happened to me during this searching for jobs, because I've been a student. I've been exactly in the same shoes as a lot of you. So it was in 2011. I've been working back in Iran even before that. So I had a lot of experiences. I was thinking I'm going to find the job a lot easy because I have experience and it shouldn't be hard, right? I applied for around 200 positions, a lot of positions. So every morning you wake up and get an email that says, oh, we are regret to inform you that you're not selected because, oh, you're very good, but we don't have blah, blah. A lot of those kind of rejection emails that I've got. So, which are not very good feelings. So if you're applying for a job or 10 or 20 and you're not getting answered, it's pretty okay. Be okay with that, because the first job is the hardest. The second one is the easiest. So if you are looking for a job immediately after university, there can be a bit of challenge, which is totally okay. So what happened after that 200 jobs? I didn't find anybody willing to give me a job. So I started working in university for several months as a researcher. And then I was totally disappointed and started not applying for any new job because I was totally devastated and saying, oh, nobody's going to give me a job. So I just applied for 3 jobs the other summer. Last summer, I applied for 200. This summer, I applied for 3. 2 of them was internship position, even if it was not a job position. It was internship position in Nokia. And the other one was a company that was doing softwares. So out of all the ironies, the company gave me an offer, the software company, the only single company that I applied. They asked me for interview, and I had my interview loop there, and they were like super supportive. They said, oh, this is awesome. You are the best. We want you, and where were you till now? And all of this kind of stuff. And so, oh, yeah, finally I did it. They said, but we are going to sign the contract a bit later. We are waiting for funds to be approved for this project. It might take like 2 weeks or so. So we will call you for signing contracts in 2 weeks. And I said, okay, this is a really good time to travel, right? So I went traveling and I asked them to send me an email when this is ready, because I didn't have any courses to do and I had nothing to do more than just coming back to work. And I was thinking, oh, if I'm going to come back to work, so it's a good time to travel now, right? Because I'm going to not have that time for quite a bit of time later on, right? So what happened? They didn't send me an email for a bit. Then I started worrying, oh, the only job that I ever had is going to go down like this. So after a week, I started sending an email. Oh, what happened? They said, oh, sorry, this is getting a bit more time. It's challenging. We have a bigger problem of getting the budget for the whole project. We are working on it. Fast forward, this take like 6 weeks and nothing happened. And it was a morning, they just sent me an email. Oh, sorry, this is very bad, but the whole project got canceled. And you as well, you got canceled too. I mean, your position, your hopes and everything got canceled. So I wasn't the happiest person in that morning, right? So I decided to go back to Iran for a bit to enjoy at least the time, because I had nothing to do and I didn't apply for other jobs, and the Nokia ones, nobody contacted me, right? So what I'm telling you, if you get to this point, don't get disappointed. Wait for good news. The good news is coming now. So I went to Iran for 2 months, like my longest trip ever. And I came back after that. It was the first day I was back in Finland. I went home and I see I have nothing to eat and I have to go to supermarket. And in the same time, it was the same day that I was back from Iran. I remember I was just putting my SIM card in my phone, the Finnish SIM card. I was just removing the old one. I was like in that situation. I put the SIM card. After 2 minutes, somebody called me. It was a number. And the number was from Nokia. They called me and it was a hiring person, a hiring staff. They said, oh, you have applied for some internship positions back like 5 months ago. What happened to that? I said, I don't know. You should know. Nothing. Nobody called me, and I've been back to Iran for 2 months, and my SIM card wasn't working there because it was like a prepaid SIM card. So she said that we are not calling because of that positions. I just wanted to see if you're still available, because we have another position for a similar internship position that's not yet filled. So if you're willing to, we are willing to have an interview. I just wanted to see if you're not still in interview with that unit. I said, of course, definitely, I'm interested. Why not? I've been looking for this. And somebody called me for a job that I haven't applied. That's interesting, right? So again, I'm the happiest person. So I went for interview. My manager, the manager that I talked to, was a nice person. They interviewed me and they said, yeah, we are offering you. I signed the contract in the same day. And there is a background process checking for the first job that you go to any company. So they started the background check with police and all of the other authorities that they need to. But don't get super excited. Bad news is coming. So it took a process that should take like a week, like 7 weeks in Finland for some reason. It was me and several other people. And after 7 weeks for internship, there's a limited time, right? They came back and said, oh, it doesn't make any more sense to have you as an intern, because the internship position should end in September. And it's already like June, and we don't see any use of you coming and working like for 4 weeks, and we are canceling all of this. Again, as you guess, so I'm disappointed. But the good thing is I'm a social person. I remember I talked to my manager, the one that was offering me. I told him that, oh, I wanted to go for a full-time position. I talked about my CV in the same day, very informally. I asked him for his phone number, and I had his phone number. And he had my phone number as well. And during the waiting time, he was sending me SMSs and stuff to catching up and see how I'm doing. And thanks. So he sent me an SMS that I'm very, very sorry, blah, 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 blah. Okay. After that, after a week, he sent me an SMS that we have a full-time position for a senior person with 5 years of experience. So are you willing to interview for that one? I'm not guaranteeing anything, and you don't have definitely 5 years of experience for this job, but I know you can do it. At least I have seen your CV. And are you willing to do the interview? My answer is yes. The default answer for any of question in that time was yes. And I went for interview, and after all of the full interview loop, I got the position. And I entered Nokia immediately without any internship to a senior kind of position, but they were paying me not as senior, as a junior, definitely. But that's it. So I got to Nokia in a very, very funny way. So for a position that I didn't apply, for an internship that I didn't apply and didn't get, and it was kind of a magical way of getting to a company. But there is a lot of stories in this one. One is I didn't lost my hope anytime. I kept kind of my touch. The second one, I did socializing with my manager. If he didn't know me, we were 8 person that he could have called, right? I did talk about my experiences to him. I tried to explain him what I have done. I was using the 15 minutes, the additional minutes that I had after interview to just make sure he remembers me, right? These kind of small touches that you do can have a very big impact on your life. So I got to a team. So I remember I was always thinking that, oh, for getting to Nokia, I need to work in another company for 10 years and then get experience, then get to an internship position, then get to Nokia. But I just immediately got to Nokia, right? I remember I was reading a article immediately, like 2 weeks before this, all of the things about a device that this company is doing a camera with 40 megapixel for a phone. It was 2011. And I was thinking, who is working on this project, right? It was like 6 weeks after that article that I read, I was working on the same project, on the same device. It's interesting, right? So if you have dreams, don't give up on them. Just pursue them. You're gonna get there definitely one way or another, sooner or later. If you have dreams, keep them, work on them. You're gonna get there. So I have a lot more stories as well. I'm not gonna share because we don't have time. But I really wanted to share this personal story because it was really, it made me very helpful in those days. And everything else I have built up is all based on the same job. As I told you, the first job is hard. The second one comes like naturally. When they see you have worked 3 years in Nokia, they're gonna extend an offer for you in Microsoft, right? If you do the basics, the interview, definitely you should do those. But if they see you've been in this field for that long, they're gonna extend you new offers as well. So work on your first job, work on your first interview, the first place that you're going. It's very important, and that's going to be you for like million years after, most probably.
Well, thank you so much. That was really inspiring. I mean, most of our students, probably the ones that I know in the list, are almost graduating, hopefully this year. So we all go through similar steps. It's important to not lose hope.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
so much.
very
That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, if anybody has the last question or anything, I'm still willing to answer, or somebody says me.
Yeah, there goes the question. Let's make this one the final question then.
Yeah, this is the final one, the goodbye question. I want to be a data scientist in order to get more efficient and applicable solutions for the people and also data in the new world. Okay, and I'm trying to learn a lot, right? However, on the internet, there are a lot of opinions about these topics, such as learn R, Python, SQL. Could you give me tips? So you want to be data scientist. That's good. Data scientist jobs are really good, and it's an interesting topic in general. So depending on what you want to do with data, all of the stacks that you mentioned, right, SQL, for example, and Python and R are all relative. SQL, you need to know, definitely. SQL is like kind of a basic thing. You need to know if you want to work with data. Python is a programming language. SQL is a data language. That's for querying, right? You need to know Python if you want to be a data engineer. One way or another, you're going to write a script. You're going to write a Python script. Python is really easy to learn. There's a lot of modules for Python for data engineers. So Python is now a de facto language for data engineering. So learn Python as well. About R is being used in some companies, not all of them. So my answer is learn Python definitely, know SQL definitely. Then after a bit, if you have time, you can work on R too. That's not bad. That's my answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I'm
you
sure. Hilal, do you have any final words? Anything you want to say?
Yes, thank you for your friendship and also thank you for your valuable experience. It was pleasure for us and for, I think, our students. We are waiting you to Kayseri when you come to Turkey.
Definitely, I've been to Turkey several times, as you may know. So I'm willing to visit Turkey. As hopefully I will visit you and other friends that we had.
Tuğçem is here.
Tuğçem? Oh,
yes.
Here? Where are you,
Yes.
teacher? Okay, so I hope that we will have our gangs back in Istanbul or somewhere again. So I'm really happy being here, sharing my random experience and thought with your students. Feel free to ask me any question in my LinkedIn or anywhere that you can find me. I'm in most of places with my real name, ABO HOSEINI. And yeah, so you can search me with that name in almost everywhere.
Emre is asking if you guys will meet again. Hopefully, let's say, or you can always probably reach him through LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Abo. That was really pleasure. Thanks a lot on behalf of everyone, and you're receiving lots of thank you messages in the chat as well. That was very generous of you to share your experience and make time for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me, and happy to be with you all, and have a good rest of the day. Most probably.
You as well. Yeah, it's almost nighttime now, but thank you so much from the thunderous Rainy Kayseri night.
Okay, nice. So I'm gonna say goodbye, and feel free to reach me with your questions later on in LinkedIn.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for joining us tonight. Let's meet again on Monday with another speaker, hopefully. It'll be just as fun and just as helpful to all of you. Thanks a lot. Good night. Bye.
Night.